In baseball, legends aren't born, they're forged through adversity, talent, and sheer determination. And few embody this journey better than Zack Greinke. When you look at his resume, you see greatness personified. Cy Young winner, 6-time All-Star, 6 Gold Gloves, a fastball that danced like poetry, and a slider that left the game's greatest hitters looking foolish. But what if I told you this baseball legend once packed his bags and walked away from the game entirely? That the man who would become one of the most dominant pitchers of his generation once sat alone in his apartment, unable to face the thought of stepping onto a baseball field. To understand how Zack Greinke went from nearly abandoning baseball to becoming a first-ballot Hall of Famer, we need to go back to where it all began. Growing up in Orlando, Florida, Zack Greinke wasn't just good at baseball, he was a prodigy. At Apopka High School, he dominated hitters with an easy, fluid motion that belied the power and precision of his pitches. As a senior, he posted a microscopic .55 ERA with 118 strikeouts in just 63 innings. This remarkable talent caught the attention of MLB scouts everywhere. In 2002, the Kansas City Royals selected Greinke with the 6th overall pick in the draft, envisioning him as the cornerstone of their pitching rotation for years to come. His rise through the minor leagues was nothing short of meteoric. In just his second professional season, Greinke posted a stunning 1.93 ERA across 2 levels. The buzz was building. Baseball had its next pitching phenom. One scout called him the most polished high school pitcher I've ever seen. Another declared that he had the best command of any prospect in a decade. The praise was unanimous, the expectations astronomical. By 2004, at just 20 years old, Zack Greinke was called up to the big leagues. The future seemed blindingly bright for the young phenom. But beneath the surface of this picture-perfect baseball story, something was brewing. Something that would threaten to derail not just Greinke's promising career, but his entire life. The jump from minor league sensation to major league starter proved far more challenging than anyone, especially Greinke, had anticipated. His rookie season with the Royals was a harsh reality check. The pinpoint command that had defined his rise suddenly abandoned him. Pitches that once painted corners now caught too much plate. Major league hitters, unlike their minor league counterparts, rarely missed his mistakes. But what fans couldn't see, what nobody could see, was the battle raging inside Zack Greinke's mind. "I was depressed," Greinke would later admit. "I got to the point where I had no emotion. I was just depressed because I wasn't any good anymore." This wasn't just a slump or a case of the yips, this was something far more profound. With each disappointing start, Greinke retreated further into himself. The game that had once been his sanctuary became his prison. By 2005, things had deteriorated further. His ERA ballooned to 5.80. Hitters that he once dominated now seemed to predict his every move. But worse than the statistical decline was Greinke's growing detachment from baseball itself. Teammates noticed his increasing isolation, coaches struggled to connect with him, and Greinke himself began to wonder if he was cut out for this life. Then came the breaking point. In February 2006, Greinke arrived at spring training in Arizona, but something was different. The weight of expectations, the spotlight of professional baseball, and his own internal struggles had become too much to bear. One morning, Zack Greinke didn't show up for practice. He had walked away from baseball. The official statement was vague, personal reasons, but the baseball world was stunned. How could a pitcher with so much promise simply walk away? The Kansas City Royals weren't sure if they'd ever see Zack Greinke on a pitcher's mound again, and truthfully, neither was he. While the baseball world speculated about his future, Zack Greinke was quietly facing his demons. Away from the spotlight, he sought professional help and received a diagnosis that would change everything: social anxiety disorder. "I've had a lot of problems," Greinke later explained. "I've been depressed, I've had social anxiety. There's a lot of different things I've gone through, and I'm kind of lucky that I'm still here playing." With the help of therapy and medication, Greinke began the painstaking process of rebuilding not just his baseball career, but his relationship with the game itself. For months, he stayed away from baseball completely. Then gradually, he began playing catch again. No pressure, no expectations, just rediscovering the simple joy that had first drawn him into the sport as a child. The Royals organization, to their immense credit, gave Greinke all the time and space he needed. They made it clear his health came first, baseball second. By 2007, something remarkable happened. Zack Greinke returned to baseball, not as a starter, but as a reliever. The Royals were easing him back, protecting him from the pressure of being a frontline starter. And in this new role, something began to change. The weight of expectations lifted slightly. The pressure valve released, and slowly but surely, the Zack Greinke that scouts had once raved about began to re-emerge. Coming out of the bullpen helped me clear my head, Greinke would later say. I could just focus on getting 3 outs instead of navigating 9 innings. His fastball velocity ticked up. His breaking pitches regained their bite. But most importantly, the joy returned to his face on the mound. By late 2007, the Royals had seen enough. It was time to return Zack Greinke to the starting rotation. Not because they needed him there, but because he was ready. Little did anyone know that his comeback was just the beginning. Zack Greinke wasn't just returning to baseball. He was about to reach heights no one could have imagined during those dark days of 2006. When the 2008 season began, Zack Greinke took the mound as a starting pitcher once again. The results were promising. A 3.47 ERA, 183 strikeouts, but they offered only a glimpse of what was to come. Then came 2009, and baseball had never seen anything quite like Zack Greinke unleashed. His arsenal was now complete. A fastball that touched 97 miles per hour, a slider that fell off the table, a curveball that froze hitters, and a changeup that made even the game's best look foolish. The numbers told an extraordinary story: 16 wins, a microscopic 2.16 ERA, 242 strikeouts, but even these gaudy statistics couldn't capture the absolute dominance Greinke displayed. He was unhittable, recalled Yankees slugger Mark Teixeira. It wasn't just that his stuff was electric, it was how he used it. He was always 3 steps ahead of you as a hitter. In November 2009, baseball made it official. Zack Greinke, the pitcher who had walked away from the game just 3 years earlier, was named the American League Cy Young Award winner. In his acceptance speech, Greinke was characteristically understated, but those who knew his journey understood the magnitude of this moment. From the depths of depression and anxiety to the pinnacle of pitching excellence, Zack Greinke had completed one of the most remarkable comebacks in sports history. The years that followed saw Greinke become one of baseball's most coveted arms. He signed with the Brewers and the Angels, eventually landing a massive $147 million contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers in 2013. At the time, the largest deal ever for a right-handed pitcher. His excellence remained remarkably consistent. Between 2008 and 2019, Greinke posted an ERA under 3.00 in 8 different seasons. He made all-star teams, won Gold Gloves, and pitched in the World Series. The boy who once couldn't bear the thought of taking the mound had become one of the most feared and respected pitchers of his generation. But Zack Greinke's legacy extends far beyond his pitching brilliance. As his confidence grew on the field, so did his comfort in being unapologetically himself off it. In a sport filled with cliches and cookie-cutter responses, Greinke became legendary for his brutal honesty and deadpan humor. When asked what he'd be doing if he wasn't a baseball player, Greinke famously replied, "I'd probably be a trash collector. Good benefits. Only work 4 hours a day." His in-game antics became the stuff of legend. There was the time he shook off his catcher 9 straight times, simply because he wanted to throw a different pitch. Or when he bluntly told his manager during a mound visit, "I've thrown enough pitches," and walked off the mound before his manager could even respond. Then there was perhaps his most prophetic moment. Before stepping to the plate in a 2019 game, Greinke casually told teammates in the dugout, "I'm going to hit a homer right here." Moments later, he launched a ball into the left field seats. His quirks extended to his preparation. While most pitchers studied endless video of opponents, Greinke once admitted, "I don't really look at scouting reports. I just go with what feels right in the moment." As his career extended into his late 30s, Greinke adapted. The blistering fastball of his youth gave way to pinpoint command and tactical brilliance. He became baseball's chess master, outthinking hitters rather than overpowering them. Watching Greinke pitch is like watching an artist, said Hall of Fame pitcher Pedro Martinez. He doesn't overwhelm you anymore, he dissects you. Even as his velocity declined, his effectiveness remained. In 2019, at age 35, he posted a 2.93 ERA and made yet another All-Star team. What made this longevity even more remarkable was remembering that dark moment in 2006, when baseball nearly lost Zack Greinke forever. The journey from there to here wasn't just about athletic achievement. It was about personal triumph over mental health struggles that once threatened to derail not just his career, but his life. Zack Greinke's story transcends baseball. It's about a man who faced his demons, sought help when he needed it most, and emerged stronger on the other side. From nearly walking away from the game to becoming one of its most decorated pitchers. From struggling with social anxiety to embracing his unique personality on baseball's biggest stage. His career numbers tell one story: over 200 wins, more than 2,800 strikeouts, 6 Gold Gloves, 6 All-Star selections, and a Cy Young Award. But these statistics can't capture the full measure of his journey. Perhaps Greinke's greatest legacy is how he changed the conversation around mental health in professional sports. By being open about his struggles with social anxiety and depression, he helped normalize these discussions in clubhouses across America. Today, when young athletes face similar challenges, they can look to Zack Greinke and know that seeking help isn't a sign of weakness. It can be the first step toward unprecedented strength. So, where does Zack Greinke rank among the greatest pitchers of his generation? Is he top 5, top 3, the very best? I'll let you debate that in the comments below. But what's beyond debate is this: baseball is better because Zack Greinke found his way back to it. And his story reminds us that sometimes our greatest victories aren't the ones captured on the scoreboard. They're the personal battles we win when no one else is watching. If you enjoyed this story of resilience and redemption, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible sports journeys. And let me know in the comments, which athlete's comeback story should we cover next?